Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. This brother Raya want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they could do to magnify the Most High God. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing, sincerely reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they could do, right, to be on fire for the Most High and the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, making their body a living sacrifice for the Most High God. Right, this is going to be an in-depth breakdown, right, going into Israel, right, going into Russia, right, going into Iran, right, and all of the neighboring countries on what's happening and what will happen if they push the button. Because war is prevalent. War is on the rise. War is going on right now. And if you're falling asleep, you're not diligent, you don't know what's going on, you're not on fire, you're not watching, you will be destroyed. Right, let me share my screen. Let's get right into it through the spirit and power of the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Let's go to the mighty book of Second Esdras. This Second Esdras, chapter 9, and verse number 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself." So you're commanded to measure the time diligently. Measuring takes what? It takes time. It takes watching. It takes diligence, right? Any mason or a master of a work, you understand, if any slight measurement is off, the whole building could be decayed. The whole building could be overthrown. The structure, in a way that the pillars are set up, the whole foundation, right, 4 floors up, 5 floors up, could all be destroyed by a lack of measurement. If you're falling asleep and waking up when you want to, watching when you want to, you're going to measure the time off. Your spirit isn't going to be right or up to speed and up to date with what's going on, right? This is an alarm being blown, man. The trumpet is being blown on a spiritual level, right? In the ancient world, that trumpet was blown. That will let you know a couple of things. The calling of the assembly, wars on the rise, celebration of the Most High, various things. But when that war trumpet blows, there is no, I didn't know. I was asleep. I had no idea. The trumpet is being blown right now on a spiritual level, man. The Lord has opened up the spirit of these whistleblowers, right? CNN, NBC, right? All BBC News, right? The Lord is all on Twitter. The Most High is touching the earth with many plagues and destruction, letting you know that war is on the rise. His coming back, the Lord is coming back like a thief in the night, man. It says, "And when thou seest part of the signs pass," meaning the things that the Most High has spoken about, "which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." And the Lord is visiting the world. The Most High is on the earth, not on a physical level, right? But his presence, the angels, destructions, prophecy coming to pass. These things are on the earth. Well, let me get the book of 2 Peter, chapter 3. This is the book of 2 Peter, right, chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse number 4, right? It says, "And saying, where is the promise of his coming?" Because a lot of people, they say, well, war has been going on all the way since 9/11. War has been going on all the way since, right, the 80s and the 70s. War has been going on all the way since 2007, right, with Israel, right, and the coming of the Gaza Strip. These things have been going on for tens and tens of years. When these things are going to kick up? It said, "For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were right from the beginning of creation." Meaning I have yet to see certain things come to pass that the prophets have written about from old. "For this they willingly are ignorant of." You don't want to be in a spirit of ignorance. a spirit of, well, I don't know. You're secretly scoffing within your mind. This is not always talking about Christians in the world or Esau, right? Or talking about the Muslims, right? This could be talking about you. You could have fringes on, and in the back of your mind, you start to scoff and get tired of watching and get tired of waiting. You got certain dogs that stay in the window and they wag their tail from the time their owner leaves to the time their owner comes back, man. And that's a beast. You have certain things they watch. You have owls that sit and watch all night long. Sparrows upon a housetop. You have certain creatures and beasts that the Most High said, ask the beasts of the field when they shall teach thee. When you see certain things coming to pass and or certain beasts, they watch all night. You got an alligator and or crocodile, they'll stay in one position with their eyes above the water in that same position for hours, waiting for a prey, waiting for something to happen that their jaws may clamp down. The same way in the spirit, you have to train yourself with diligence to be able to watch. Now, watching, you can get tired, you can get sleepy, you can get distracted. 1,000 things can happen in the midst of you watching, but that goes at a test of time of you testing out your spirit, you being on fire enough to watch and be diligent enough until your salvation draweth nigh. It says this, for this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens of old were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that was then was being overflowed with the water perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of the ungodly. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So the Most High is patient, right? We feel like more time is coming to pass on earth, and when is the Lord, and people falling asleep, people dying, all hell breaking loose. Hey, but in the heavens, there's a different time. It says the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. And a lot of people think because the Most High don't make haste when you want him to, or push that red button as fast as you want it to be pushed, that these things will never happen. As some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward. So a lot of men, they want the coming of the Lord to be so swift, so fast. And the Most High is giving man the opportunity to fast, to pray, to get your spirit together, to truly repent. Yeah, you can know all of the prophecies, but hate your brother. You can have leaven in your household and your marriage is in shambles. Your children are off, right? And your spirit is bad and the bombs start dropping. What are you going to do then? The Lord is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. That's the beginning of Yahushai's gospel and ministry. Repent. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief of the night. So no man truly knows when all hell is going to break loose in your neighboring city. Yeah, you watching. Yeah, things are on the rise. But once that day comes, it's going to come like a thief. And then from there on out, the plagues are going to issue out, and the day of the Lord is going to be approaching, and no man will know it when the sky is going to crack. And the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works that therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, man? And that's a question for all of us. What manner of man ought to be right now? Are you ought to be slothful, playing games, sleeping all day, not loving your brethren, not being on fire, not taking care of your family, making excuses, procrastinating, doing everything except the words of God and what he has told you from old? Should you be cussing, acting wicked, hating your brother, all in slander, evil? Or are you ought to be a light as it is commanded, man? A city that's set on a hill cannot be hid. What manner of persons ought ye ought to be? Right? It says, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Lord. You ought to be looking. Looking is another word for watching. For that, and Slaki, in the hasting of the coming of the Lord, right? The day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt, right, with fervent heat. Let's dive into it. Right, I got a couple of things I wanted to touch on, right? And we're going to dive straight into it. Now, this is an in-depth video right, on Iran and going into the missile defense agencies, how their missiles are shot, how they open up, the development and scientific knowledge going into the missiles, that within the missiles they have fluid shooting out of the fluid with hypersonic gas as they're in the air, which is another propellant to shoot them faster for hypersonic speeds. They have something called March 1, Mark 1, Mark 2, March all the way up to Mark 5, going into the speeds of these different missiles, right? From an airplane, going into a missile, going into a ballistic missile, going into a hypersonic missile, right? Going into a rocket, right? These are different levels of speed, understanding these war missiles and the arrows that the Heavenly Father has created, right? Opening up to that it's an arrow which is classified as a warhead. And you may see warheads raining, right, coming from the firmament, destroying these things. Now, when you go into the scientific terminology and diving into these missiles, how they're formed, how they shoot, how far they go, and understanding these things, it helps you to have a small, clear identification through the eyes of these demons and these different spirits of these nations, how they mapping out for war. See, man just wants war to kick off like that, push the red button, right, and all hell break loose, and then you get beamed up, right? Strategy is in war. You have to strategize in war. War is like chess. You don't just make a move fast. You have to understand what you're doing and the repercussions of your actions, right? I'm going to play a little bit of this.
Iranian ballistic missiles strikes focus on...
And give me a strong con if you could hear the audio, right? Give me a strong con in the, the comments through the spirit.
Iranian ballistic missiles strikes focus on key Israeli military sites such as Nevatim Air Base near Beersheba and Tel Nof Air Base.
So Iranian ballistic missiles, they target air bases, right? I'm going to pull that back and listen to it again.
Iranian ballistic missiles strikes focus on key Israeli military sites such as...
They focus on key military sites. And that's wise when you go to war. Why is it wise? Because if you're just shooting random missiles, it would make no sense. They just hit random things, right? When they shoot, they're going to shoot at the White House. When they shoot, they're going to shoot at downtown. When they shoot, they're going to take away the U.S. Treasury, the Lincoln Memorial, right? They're going to take away these key pivotal parts in U.S. history where the presidency and the government dwells, and the U.S. defense air bases. An air base is what they would call in the scriptures. Let me get this quick precept, all right? A fortified city where you will have all of the strongholds of your weapons. Now, if you blow up Israel's weapons, if you blow up U.S. Treasury weapons, if you blow up the defense system of any government, you understand you're making it harder for them to go to war. You don't want to just shoot civilians all the time and blow up civilians. Blowing up somebody just walking down the street, that's just another dead body. Right? What sense would it make, or what pivotal importance of these expensive missiles to be shot in vain? As they're shooting them, they're aiming them to hit these air bases, right? Let me get this quick precept, all right? And let's see what they did from old. Let me get First Chronicles, all right, chapter 26. It's First Chronicles chapter 26 and verse number 27. This is David. Out of the spoils won in battle did they dedicate to maintain the house of the Lord. So when David went to war, right, not only did he take down these nations, he took down Moabites, he took down the Edomites, he took down all of these different nations, took down the Syrians. And as he went to war, out of the spoils of war won in battle, he dedicated to maintain the house of the Lord, meaning the gold, the silver, and when you go to war, you take their weapons. Right. So when you destroy a nation, you not only just take their gold, their women, and ravish them, but you also take their weapons. That's what makes something stronger, you understand, as a nation. When they would enter into a land, they would rob the treasury and they would take all of the different weapons, right, that nation used. Right. Let me get another quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of First Chronicles chapter 20. It's First Chronicles chapter 20 and verse number 2. It says, and David took the crown of their king from off his head and found it to weigh a talent of gold, and there were precious stones in it. And it was set upon David's head, and he brought also exceeding much spoil out of the city. So he had a lot of spoil. He took all of those things to help dedicate his people to have stronger weapons, more swords, more axes, more shields, more helmets, because you had Smith in the ancient world. Now, all of the Smith, if they would destroy a city, they would take down the Smiths. They would take down your masons, your workers, your men that build things, that the whole city wouldn't be able to build walls, wouldn't be able to make weapons, wouldn't be able to defend themselves if war were to kick off, right? It says, and he brought out of the people that were in it and cut them with saws and with harrows of iron and with axes. Even so dealt David with all the cities of the children of Ammon, and David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. So when you read this, yeah, he chopped down random men, but these were the warriors. The warriors go back to their bases. The bases have their weapons, their iron, all of the different things in their axes, and they would destroy the masonries, all of the blacksmiths, all of the men that create these things, take their spoils and bring it back to Jerusalem. So it's pivotal, right, when you go to war to destroy the strength of these different bases.
Is Nevadim Air Base near Beersheba and Tel Nof Air Base, both of which house the billion-dollar Israeli F-35 fighter jets and other high-value assets. Additional targets included the Hatzerim Air Base in the Negev Desert and the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv.
Check that out. So the next time you think about war and as they're shooting and you watch random videos, yeah, that's a civil war going on and destruction, maybe to a power plant of gas, right? Maybe to a hospital. But these things are being shot in vain.
This is the Fatah hypersonic missile and the Shahab-3, and we'll look into the details why the Arrow missile failed to intercept the Iranian glide vehicles, all in the video ahead. The U.S. traced the launch location to a valley south of the Iranian city of Shiraz. Iran has launched its largest ever attack on Israel, firing 180 ballistic missiles. These missiles traveled more than 1,000 miles from this valley to reach Israel's most populated city and military sites.
Military sites. So if you take it now, Israel's military sites, what do you think their allies and their men that are confederate with them are going to do? They're going to have to send money to them to help them fund the war. They're going to have to send soldiers. They're going to have to be prevalent on sea. They're going to have to send their army and their troops and their men to help fight in this war, because they're strategically thinking smart as they go to war, not just shooting random missiles. So as these things happen, that's forcing the hand of America to get involved. That's forcing the hand of these allied nations that are confederate with them to get involved in this war.
Iran used variants of the Shahab-3 ballistic missile in its latest attack on Israel. The Shahab-3 is the foundation for all of Iran's medium-range ballistic missiles and uses liquid propellant. It can carry a warhead weighing between 760 and 1,200 kilograms, which translates to 1,675 and 2,645 pounds. How it works. Step 1. The missile is positioned at a 90-degree angle and then fired. Step 2. The ballistic missile's trajectory takes it outside or near the edge of Earth's atmosphere.
Right, which makes it a hypersonic missile. Like I said, you have missiles, ballistic missiles, ICBM missiles, hypersonic speed, right, missiles. So certain missiles are classified in their different ranges, predicated off of how high they go and how fast they go.
Step 3. The warhead payload separates from the rocket that carried it aloft and re-enters the atmosphere, descending towards its target. Step 4. The missile can carry a single or multiple warheads, depending on the variant. The warhead separates from the single-stage rocket after it has traveled about more than half the distance to its target. The most prolific Scud variants had a circular error probable of 300 to 450 meters. This means that 50% of the missiles fired at a target would land within a circle of that diameter.
50%.
This is the Fatah 2, the successor to the Fatah 1. It was used for the first time and is one of
And I want to make a quick interjection, because this isn't cheap, right? This isn't just $100, $500, $200,000. These are very expensive missiles, and you have to fund it by billions of dollars. Right? This doesn't just happen. Let me get this quick precept. Like, war is very, very, very expensive. See, money wins war. It's not always your soldiers, because they're predicated to say, well, maybe 200,000, right? I'm gonna get the numbers and the logistics through the Spirit, most high willing. But let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of First Maccabees, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse number 27. Now, when King Antiochus heard these things, he was full of indignation. Wherefore he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army. Right? So when all hell started breaking loose, and the talks of Judas and his battles and the things that he has done and the wars that he has won, King Antiochus, he gathered all his forces of his realm. Right? His realm is his jurisdiction. It says he opened also his treasury and gave his soldiers pay for a year. Meaning what? If you're going to go to war, you have to make sure that your soldiers are taken care of. You have to make sure that you have the top weaponry and things you need to form in that war. You can't have Iran, you can't have Russia, you can't have China, on a level 5, and you're sitting up there on a level 2. See, America is trillions of dollars in debt, and they're funding most of their money that they will ever touch on warheads, on missiles. Because missiles, so like money wins wars, man. They can even tell you that in the streets, man. Oh, you don't want to mess with him. Certain people got cops on their payroll. Certain people got elected officials on their payroll. Hey, Diddy had all type of people paid off. His freak sessions, his evilness. You don't think he was paying off people? Officers, chief men. They said a lot of government officials and high people right in the government was at his parties, going off a lot of high-statured men on the left-hand side. He was paying those people off. It says he opened also his treasure and gave his soldiers pay for a year, commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them. Meaning wherever he called in a battle of the eye, what would he do? He will open up these treasures and fund that money. Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasure failed, so it's not your name and your soldiers and your strength, it's the money. So when King Antiochus seen that his money was falling, your money falling represents a shortage of your military power. It says, where he saw the money of his treasures fail and that his tributes in the country were small because of the dissension and plague which he had brought upon the land and taken away the laws which have been from old time, he feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abounded above the kings that were before him, right? It says, wherefore, being greatly perplexed, right? Meaning he was confounded. In his mind, he determined to go into Persia to take the tributes of the country, right? So when he understood that his charges and the different things of his money and his tribute was debating, he said, you know what? I got to rob some more people. I got to knock down some more walls, take some more money so that my power and my structure can continue to flourish. It's why U.S., Russia, China, these are high statute mountains and not hills in the scriptures because they have money and power and military. It says there to take the tribute of the country and to gather much money. That's the so-called white man's thing, right? Ain't that we named this son? Right? Eliphaz, right? My God is gold, right? So the so-called white man, he's covetous. He wants money and he wants that fame. Why? Because they need that to fund their wars. Right? Let me go back to this.
Iran's advanced missile systems. This missile is equipped with a hypersonic glide vehicle. Inside it is the warhead, which detaches and allows the missile to maneuver and glide at speeds between Mach 5 and 10. The missile has a range of around 1,500 kilometers, only slightly more than its predecessor, the Fatah 1. What sets it apart from other ballistic missiles is its ability to accelerate outside the Earth's atmosphere, while its aerodynamic control surfaces enable steering to evade the famous Aero Missiles Defense System.
Now they have aero domestic defense systems that coincide when you go to war. Like they have radars, and the radar will show you, right? They have different radars, at sea. They have different radars in the air, and these radars will let you know when a missile's on the way. Now, when they shoot missiles, it's not as easy or as fast because everything has just balance. When you play basketball, it's not just about picking a team. I want LeBron James. I want Steph Curry. I want KD, right? I want Michael Jordan, right? I want, Shaq. I want this. I want that. You got to think about defense. You got to think about Shaq for the block. Mutombo. You got to think about the just balance of when you playing on the court. Can't have just a bunch of people that shoot threes all day. And then when they coming back down the court, they're getting dunked on. So when they shooting these missiles, you have to have a coincide to shoot those missiles down in the air. That's where you have the David Sling, the Iron Dome, and the Arrow 3. Now I want to touch on these real fast. Now the David Sling, what they will call the David Sling, right? Also formerly known as the Magic Wand. That's wicked, right? So they call it the Magic Wand, to stop things. And that's a wicked name for it. That's magic. That's evil, right? The Magic Wand is an Israel Defense Forces military system jointly developed by Israeli defense contractors, right? Rafael Advanced Defense Systems and the American defense contractor Raytheon that became operational in 2017. It is designed to intercept enemy planes. So when these things are being shot, they'll shoot out and they'll have a war in the air to try to shoot down that missile. But you have different levels of a Mark. Like I said, when you're going into it, they got the Mark 5 all the way to the Mark 10 going into their different missiles. Now, they don't know what kind of missiles are being shot. Could be a Mark 5, could be a Mark 10. Different levels of these missiles, they can move in the air, right, to divide and dodge, right, the David Sling and the Magic Wand. Those things are going to meet them, but they have different levels of these different ballistic missiles being shot that could dodge. Not all can dodge, but a large majority can. And then that just goes with the strategy and if they miss and if they hit. Drones, tactical ballistic missiles, right, medium and long range rockets, and cruise missiles fired at ranges from 40 to 300 kilometers, right? David Sling is intended to replace the MIM-23 Hawk, right? You got the David Sling. You also have the Iron Dome, right? Just getting a clear visual of these things, right? Now, how else would they shoot them? They're shooting them from their military bases. The same places that they're coming to hit, the same things they're shooting them from, right? Let me get this real fast. The Iron Dome is an Israeli mobile all-weather air defense system developed by Rafael Advanced, right, Defense Systems and Israel Aerospace Industry, right? Just looking at that, I'm going to touch on this real fast. Israel Aerospace Industries, Israel's major aerospace and invasion of manufacturers producing, right, aerial and astronautical systems for both military and civilian usage. Right? These are your scientists. These are your wise men of Edom. These are your men that were wiser than Daniel when you read the book of Ezekiel, right, the 28th chapter. This system, right, is designed to intercept and destroy short-range rockets and artillery shells. So the Iron Dome can only destroy short-range rockets. You have certain ones that shoot, like I said, over 1,000, right? It says fire from distances to 400 to 700 kilometers. But then with the one we just saw, was shooting over 1,000. So this is like a real strategizing thing, right? Let me read this real fast. From 2011 to 2021, the United States contributed a total of $1.6 billion to the Iron Dome defense system, with another $1 billion approved by the U.S. Congress in 2022. This is big business. This is war. This is money. This is power. Right? You also have the Arrow 3. Looking at this, clear visual, the Arrow 3. Right? Now, the Arrow 3 or the HAZ 3 is a exto, right, atmosphere hypersonic anti-ballistic missile joint founded, developed, and produced by Israel and the United States. They are highly together with money, funding, war, right? Confederate, undertaken by Israel's aerospace industry, IAI. And Boeing is an overseen by Israeli Ministry of Defense, right? So, I mean, like I said, going into it, got the Arrow 3, the Iron Dome, right? The David Sling and the Magic Wand.
Made by Israel. But first, let's look at what is a hypersonic missile. Hypersonic missiles are a challenging technology to master because they are so fast that if the U.S. launched a Scramjet missile, it could reach China in just 18 minutes.
It could reach it in 18 minutes, man. And they're shooting these fortified cities, right? Let me get a quick precept. I'm going to get this quick precept. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 3. This is 2 Kings chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse number 18. All right. It says, and this is but a light thing in the sight of the Lord. He will deliver the Moabites also into your hand. How is the Lord going to deliver the Moabites into our hands? Right? Reading on. And ye shall smite every fenced city. So when you go to war, you don't just ravish up the damn women all the time. That's all it is. Let's ravish up the wives. Let's get me a concubine. Right? They're not marching into town thinking about concubines, man, and women. Right? They're marching, laying in ambush to go to these defense cities with all of their fortified bases. It says, and ye shall smite every fenced city and every choice city, and shall fall so like it fill every good tree and stop all the wells of water. So you make a famine, right? This is guerrilla warfare, right? You got guerrilla warfare, right? You got strategizing ambush, right? And you got fortifying defense cities, right? Stopping up water and ambushes. That's what they try to do to us when you read the book, right, of Judith. It says, and mar every good piece of land with stones. So that's how you would take down, right, some cities, right? Let me go to the book of 2 Chronicles real fast. Let me go to 2 Chronicles chapter 33, all right? And I'm going to start, let's see what Manasseh did, right? It's the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 33 and 14. Now, after this, he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gilhon and the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassed about Othel and raised it up a very, it's like a great height, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. So he built up a wall, right? And this is war. This is a fenced city. This is where your men of war would come out of, right? It says, and raised up a great height and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. So you want to have the fenced cities of Judah, right, all inhabited and fully watched after. Now it's prophesied that the Lord was going to destroy all of their fenced cities. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 25, right, and verse number 2. But thou hast made of a city an heap, right, meaning dust and ashes, of a defense city a ruin, a place of strangers to be no city, it shall never be built. So that defense city is your military. That's the defense. That's your walls. Like you may have the walls of Troy, right, when you go to war. Now, if you ever seen the walls of Troy, right, this is an okay visual, right? That would be them not being able to get into to destroy their city. Now, in the ancient world, they didn't have physical ballistic missiles, right? They would have watchmen upon the tower up here. They would blow the trumpet. Men would get prepared, and then they would shoot arrows and archers and men to trying to destroy and enter into their gates. So this is how a visual would be, right? This is another one, the walls of Troy. But now, you know, they have military devices. They have maps. They have supersonic, you know, missiles and different things like that. They're going to shoot these things. You don't have to now think about breaching a wall or how you're going to get into the city or how you're going to get to the weapons or get to the king. You could directly go with these hypersonic missiles and shoot them and destroy them and wipe them down. So they have changed the level of war 1,000%. Well, let me get this real fast. Now, this is the office of Under Secretary of Defense, right? Comptroller, Chief Financial Officer, right, March 2024, right? And it says major weapons system, right? So this is going into how much money is being spent, right, on the investment of military weapons. Like going into it, I just want to read this real fast. If brothers could read that, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. It says 310.7 billion, which includes 167.5 billion to the procurement of 143.2 billion for RDT&E, and the funding in the budget request represents a balanced portfolio approaching for the implementation of the National Defense Strategy, NDS, right? So this is to fund the war, right? So it says 2025 investments total 310.7 billion. What are they spending money on? Ground systems, that's 13 billion, right? You have C4I system, 27 billion, right? Activation, right? Related systems, 61. Space-based systems, 25 billion, right? Shipbuilding, right? Maritime systems, 48. Science and technology. These are your men creating these things, right? They need cutting edge things that are going to be able to shoot fast, right? Go underwater, come back up. This war is going to be extremely advanced. You got to think too, they're going to fight against the Lord in the air. And they know about that. They know about prophecy. They know what's going on. These are your higher elites. They know what's going on. Science and technology, mission support activities, missile, right, and munition, 29.8. Missile defense programs, 13 billion. These are the things we were just going over to shoot down, right, those missiles that are coming. So this is the defense. So, I mean, it's a whole lot of money being spent, right, going into these wars. Look at this. Hundreds of billions, 90s, 10s, 20. Nothing's really under 30 billion. You got the Army, but the Navy is seeming like the most highest. And with Navy, you have pretty much everything. You have the sea, the coastal, the Coast Guard, the middle of the sea, and on air, you know, them shooting, coming back down on the planes. The Space Force, they're spending over $30 billion on a Space Force. Right? So this is very important. Well, let me go back to it. I want to touch on that too. It's a whole lot I want to touch on.
Traveling at speeds of Mach 5 and above. These scramjet engines collect oxygen from the atmosphere as they travel, mixing it with hydrogen fuel to create the combustion needed for hypersonic flight. Meanwhile,
now, if that's not science, I don't know what is. I'm going to rewind it real fast.
These scramjet engines collect oxygen from the atmosphere.
They collect oxygen in the air, which makes them go faster and faster the more they're in the air.
As they travel, mixing it with hydrogen fuel to
create
the combustion needed for hypersonic.
That's a scientist. That's straight up and down sorcery. Straight up and down. Like we just went into science and technology. So they have these places that are off limits where these scientists work all day and night.
Hypersonic flight. Meanwhile, glide hypersonic vehicles like the Chinese Dongfeng 17 became the first to integrate into production with conventional and nuclear warheads. They are also designed to target U.S. aircraft carriers, as they can change their trajectory mid-flight. This U.S. Aero AGM hypersonic weapon is a missile within a missile which pops out its cover and uses only the glide vehicle kinetic energy as a weapon. And not to forget the Russian hypersonic missile like the Kinzhal. To qualify as a hypersonic missile, it must possess three key attributes: speed, maneuverability, and accuracy.
Maneuverability, meaning it got to change in the air to be a hypersonic missile. That's going to make it hard for your defense missiles to be able to hit it, right?
Let's look at speed. As we all know, Mach 1 represents the speed of sound, which serves as our benchmark. To better understand this, let's make a few comparisons. Commercial airliners, for example, fly subsonically, just below Mach 1. In contrast, modern fighter jets can travel supersonically.
Now, if anybody has seen a fighter jet, that's one of the fastest things you probably could ever see. The loudness of the rocket, it's like the jet is them whipping through the air. Like if you would take a stick and go like this in the air or hang it real fast, right? You'll be whipping through the air. That's how fast they're going. But these hypersonic missiles are going 3 times faster than that,
reaching speeds of Mach 2 or 3. When we refer to hypersonic speeds, we're talking about anything Mach 5 and above. Space shuttles are an example of vehicles that travel hypersonically, often reaching speeds between Mach 20 and 24. But these can travel only for short distances at this speed. To sum it up, a hypersonic missile should cross Mach 25, which is around 19,000 miles per hour. But wait, that's not it. Hypersonic missiles should also have the capability of covering vast distances, such as from New York to Russia or from China to Texas and vice versa. Before we looked into how Fattah missiles managed to penetrate Israeli air defense, we have to understand how Arrow 3 missile works. The Arrow missile
So if we have this information and we're looking at it and we're studying it, and we're not in the military, I don't have a U.S. clearance, right? I'm not an agent. I'm not sitting up there in their meetings. I'm not giving them, they don't give me secret intelligence. If we have this and we're looking at this, what are these elites looking at? How much more do they have secret agents and inside men, and they're looking and strategizing war? They have a lot of people, they have what they call secret agents, and they'll go and pose, right? They got people that are secret agents that come into the truth, try to join your congregation. They gather up intel. So this war and watching is more deeper than just pushing a damn button, man. It's more elaborate and wise and watching and strategizing.
defense system consists of 3 basic parts:
they're really going
the missile launcher unit, the Green Pine radar antenna, and the Arrow missile. The missile launcher unit is composed of 6 erector launcher tubes housing ready to fire missiles.
Right, I want to get this quick precept. Let's go to Jeremiah real fast. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51, right, in verse number 1. It's the mighty book of Jeremiah chapter 51, all right? I'm going to start at 2. It says this: "And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifteth himself up in his burdening, right, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utter all her hosts." What is this saying? Let me get that in another translation. All right, I want to touch on this. Jeremiah chapter 51. Get the NLT. All right. It says, I'm going to start at verse number 3. "Don't let the archers put on their armor or draw their bows." So it's even prophesied, don't even let them get ready to defend themselves. So you have defense, right? And then you have war. So you're always going to have a defense system or something set up, right, when you're going to war. Don't spare even don't spare even her best soldiers. Let her army be completely destroyed. Right, let me jump down to verse 30. All right. Verse 30, it says, "Her mightiest warriors no longer fight. They stay in their barracks. Their courage is gone. They have become like women." Right? What is a barrack? Let's go into it real fast. It said they stay in their barrack. Right? That's like a fortified closing area, like a bunker and or some type of shield or a wall where they don't want to come out of to fight.
Barracks.
It says garrison, camp, encampment, deposit, quarters, a fort, right? Guardhouse. So it's saying in this prophesied that these men ain't coming out of them, man. And out of their bases, their mightiest of men. Going and showing you over and over that these defense missile agencies in these different places, in these fortified cities, they have bunkers, they have barracks, they have different places. So it deems fit and wise to shoot and hit them first to destroy all of their strength. Right? Let me get the book of Jeremiah real fast, chapter 50. All right? It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. And I'm going to start at verse number 40. It says, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith the Lord God, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell there. So how did the Lord destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? With raining fire and brimstone down from heaven, man. And it was like rain. It was so much fire coming down. That's how these missiles are going to shoot. Just like this. Nothing but fire and brimstone raining down right from the third heaven.
Positioned at the rear of a 2-axle trailer, each launcher, when fully loaded with 6 Launch 2s carrying ready-to-fire missiles, weighs 35 tons. The Green Pine radar serves as the warning and fire control radar for the Arrow 3 anti-ballistic air defense missile system. It plays a crucial role in target detection and guidance.
Guidance. That's crazy.
The Arrow operates as a 2-stage missile. Let's look inside this engineering technology. This is the solid propellant booster and sustainer rocket motors. At the rocket's peak sits the ignition chamber, triggering the combustion of the solid propellant when activated. This propellant isn't just any substance. It's a meticulously crafted blend of fuel and oxidizer poured into a casing and then cured. Encasing this blend is a protective shell called the motor case. At the core of the rocket lies the propellant burning zone. Here, the solid fuel and oxidizer react, producing incredibly high temperature combustion gases, which helps to launch the rocket at incredible speed above the Earth's surface. Moving further to the front, the most important part of the missile is the kill vehicle, which can be divided into 3 basic parts. The second stage is the propulsion system with a thrust vectoring nozzle. Just above it is the warhead, a directed high explosive fragmentation weighing 150 kilograms, which translates to 330 pounds. The third stage is the seeker, capable of pivoting itself to track its target. But what's the big deal about this long-range anti-ballistic missile system? Let's start with the propulsion system. The famous THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, uses a divert attitude control thrusters. In comparison to the Arrow 3 kill vehicle, which utilizes a thrust vectoring nozzle with a solid fuel rocket, it has a shorter and more limited burn time. It has a few advantages, one of them being the ability to compensate for a lack of radar accuracy. When the radar sends the interceptor to an inaccurate target location, the Arrow 3 kill vehicle can adjust its trajectory. Since intercontinental ballistic missiles travel at very high speeds, the kill vehicle must change its trajectory based on newer, more accurate radar data from its seeker.
Right, and you would have never thought it's this deep in the air. You would have just thought it's pushing a damn button. You would have thought it's a button being pushed and a bomb being dropped. You would have never thought it was this strategic to the point of how it moved in the air, how it's directed in the air, its targets, what they're specifically trying to hit. This is what kings do. These are the kings on the left-hand side of the earth. Yeah, there are demons. Yeah, there are other nations, but they are kings. And kings move with strategy. Let me get this real fast. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 14. In verse number 31. Or what king going to war, it's like you're going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first, and counteth, right, and consulteth whether he will be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. Sitting down is your UN meetings. Sitting down is your councils, your strategizing. These are the things that these kings do. That's why they're always meeting up. Vladimir Putin, right? Kim Jong-un, they're all meeting up. They're sitting down. They're strategizing. And they're trying to come up with ways that they can destroy America. Ways they can destroy, right, Israel. Ways they can form new alliances. Right? Syria is trying to join BRICS, man. Right along with Egypt. Right along with a lot of other neighboring countries trying to join BRICS. So the BRICS alliance is getting bigger. Nations are continuously gathering together their defense systems. making more money to have more war, right? And a better chance at winning war. Right. So this is a real big deal. It says, sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he will be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. Right. I want to bring this out real fast. It said Russia tells its citizens to leave Israel now as tensions rise. So why would Vladimir Putin want his men out of Israel or any citizens of Russia? Right, because it's going to stop going from a fortified city attack, right, to attacking all. It's just going to continue to grow, this war. It's going to hit more of citizens. It's going to hit more of their national men and their princes. This war is going to continue to rise stronger and stronger. And he's telling them to get out of there. Why? Because they're going to use more advanced missiles. They're not always going to use those small missiles, right? They're going to use hypersonic missiles and bigger intercontinental ballistic missiles. And this thing is going to continue to rise and rise, right? That's why it says in the book of Isaiah, let me get this quick precept. In Isaiah, right, chapter 13, every man shall leave, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 14. It says, and it shall be as the chase roe, right? And as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people. So the same way Vladimir Putin is telling, hey, look, get up out of here, man. The same way any Russian, any Chinese man or any citizen that really belongs to China, that really belongs to Russia, that really belongs to Iran and any of these places, they're going to tell their people to get out of here, man. It's not going to be small anymore. These things are going to kick up and get stronger. Every man shall turn to his own people. Meaning we're not living in the days of a melting pot as war continues to flourish. Men aren't going to always be nice. The love of many is going to start waxing cold. That's not just talking about the Israelites. All men are going to start waxing cold, man. Everybody's going to go back to their people in the spirit and flee everyone to his own land. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through. So in the ancient world, they would get thrust in war, but this time they're going to get bombed and destroyed and killed. And everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So if you're joined in the wrong state, in the wrong country, when these things kicking off, you're going to die right along with the people they got war and beef with, man. Their children also should be dashed to pieces before their eyes. And that literally happened, right? Literally 40,000, right, citizens were destroyed. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished, right? So they're telling them straight up and down, right? Anatolia Viktorov, Moscow's ambassador to Tel Aviv, recommend that Russian nationalists depart Israel without delay. Right? It remarks to Russian news agency TASS on October 3rd. The diplomat highlighted the worsening situation in the region. Right? Let me get this real quick. Now, this is what, right, their leaders are saying in Israel.
I have a message. I have a message for President Macron. Today, Israel is defending itself on 7 fronts.
7 fronts that Israel's defending itself against.
Against the enemies of civilization. We're fighting in Gaza against Hamas.
Now they're fighting against Gaza, right, and Hamas. Now Hamas is a military agent, right? See, I want to get this real fast. Hamas, the Islamic Resistance Movement, right, abbreviated Hamas, is a Palestinian nationalist, right, Sunni Islamic politician, right, political organization with a military wing, right, called Ezzeddin al-Qassam, right? So they're military winged, right, Hamas. So they're fighting against them.
Those savages who murdered, raped, beheaded, and burned our people on October 7th. We're fighting in Lebanon against Hezbollah.
They're fighting in Lebanon against Hezbollah, right? Hezbollah is another abbreviated Islamic military group, right? Hezbollah, political party. Hezbollah is a Lebanese, a Shia Islamic political party and military group, right? So Iran and all of its corporates, they're getting serious in this thing. Hezbollah, right? Hamas, right? Let me get this real fast.
the most heavily armed terror organization in the world, which was planning an even greater massacre than October 7th on our northern border, and that has rocketed Israeli towns and cities for nearly a year. We're fighting against the Houthis in Yemen.
They're fighting against Yemen. Right, so don't be ignorant of how much that Israel's going to war with. Israel's only so big. Right, it's only so much they could physically fight against before their allies get involved, and not just on a financial level. Let me get this real fast. Israel's official map replaces military bases, right, with fake farms and deserts. So they're trying to strategize and get, with this thing. Air bases and expected missile storage sites, blurred on Yandex left, clearly visible on Google Earth right. All right, so they're trying to hide. Look at this. Of course they're trying to hide. North Air Base and suspected missile storage sites, both deleted from Israeli government official map and replaced with identical patches of farmland. Yeah, you may replace it from the Israeli government official map, but you can't change it from Google. And they're trying to hide their bases. Right? Air Base, right? Stork Nuclear Research Center, Corda, FAST, right? Pluck Shilman, Salakia for the pronunciation, Air Base, right? Research Center. So they're blurring these things out. And they don't want you to know and see what the hell they got going on. Because that'll make it easier in war. Right? I got this other I want to bring up real fast. Right here it says potential Iranian targets. Right? Going all the way down, it says nuclear sites, Ukrainian mines, military bases and key infrastructure, oil refiners, terminal fields. So these are the key things when you go into war. You want to destroy their oil and their gas. You want to destroy their military bases and their infrastructures. And you want to destroy their nuclear sites, right, and Ukrainian mines. So they're mapping out when you go to war where they're going to hit, how they're going to hit it. And like I said, if we have this information, how much more, right, the advanced information they have as they're going to war. Let me go back to this video.
And the Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria that together have launched hundreds of drones and missile attacks against Israel. We're fighting against terrorists in Judea and Samaria who try to murder civilians in the heart of our cities. And we're fighting against Iran, which last week fired over 200 ballistic missiles directly at Israel, and which stands behind the seven-front war against Israel. As Israel fights the forces of barbarism led by Iran, all civilized countries should be standing firmly by Israel's side. Yet President Macron,
right, he's begging for everybody to stand with Israel,
and some other Western leaders are now calling for an arms embargo against Israel. Shame on them. Is Iran imposing an arms embargo on Hezbollah, on the Houthis, on Hamas, and on its other proxies? Of course not. The axis of terror stands together. But countries who supposedly oppose this terror axis call for an arms embargo on Israel. What a disgrace. Well, let me tell you this. Israel will win with or without their support. But their shame will continue long after the war is won. For in defending ourselves against this barbarism, Israel is defending civilizations against those who seek to impose a dark age of fanaticism on all of us. Rest assured, Israel will fight until the battle is won.
Hold on. Israel will fight until the battle is won. So they're prideful. Esau is prideful. All right. And like I said, all of these nations, they're going to start getting up out of these other states and these other countries. Let me get another precept on that. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. That's biblical prophecy. It happened from old and it's happening again. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in their iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. So Lord, tell them, man, flee out. Anybody that's caught in there is going to be destroyed. So anybody caught in these different countries, is going to be destroyed. And the Lord's stirring up the minds of these different kings and these rulers, right, from old. Let me get the book of Isaiah chapter 30. The Lord's the one stirring up their minds. The Lord's having them to go off. The Lord's having them to create bombs and missiles and war. The Most High is a man of war. It's the book of Isaiah, right, chapter 30 and verse 27. Behold, the name of the Lord cometh from far, right? Meaning what? The name of the Lord is destruction. It's vengeance. The name of the Lord isn't just love and happiness, hugs and kisses, and mercy and guidance. The name of the Lord also represents destruction, anger, indignation. It's just coming from afar, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. So when you hear the name of the Lord and you see the vengeance coming from afar, it's burdensome and heavy. His lips are full of indignation. His tongue is a devouring fire, and his breath is as an overflowing stream, shall reach into the midst of the neck to the stiff nations, and a sieve of vanity, and there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. So the Lord's putting a spirit on the earth, these angels on the earth, and the Lord said he put a bridle in the jaws of the people. A bridle is what you put on a donkey or a horse. The Lord said he put a bridle in the jaws of all of these leaders and these rulers, causing them to err. I mean, it causing them to turn on one another, causing them to push the button, causing them to want to go to war, right? Let me jump down to verse number 30. It says, and the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard. See, right now, the voice of the Lord isn't heard. The voice of the Lord is the prophets, the things that are coming to pass, the prophecies, the things that no man regards, and shall shew, right, the lightning down of his arm. His arm is his strength, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempests and hailstones. For though the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down and smote with a rod. Now the Assyrian just represents a man of high stature, a man of preeminence, right? The Lord's going to beat down the so-called white man, right? So the Lord's putting that spirit on the earth, causing these rulers and all of these different men to know what time it is, right? Let's go to the mighty book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15. So the Lord putting his spirit on these leaders of the earth. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and 20. It says, behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. It's not just talking about, right, David, Solomon, right, Jehoshaphat, Josiah. It's not just talking about those men. He's talking about the leaders in the last days. He's going to cause all men to reverence him. It's not talking about they're going to all start speaking in Hebrew and saying the name of the Lord. Reverence him, meaning do his will. Right now, nobody's reverencing the Lord, man, especially of our people. But in the last days, the Lord going to put a spirit on the earth. He's going to conform through the hand of the angels and force his will with prophecy, all the things that are written from old to come to pass, to reverence the things that he has written, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, and from the east. Right, because the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. So from the rising of the sun, all of those nations of the east, right, and the south, and to Lebanon, right, Lebanon, and to turn themselves against one another. And where is this happening at? It's happening in the east. Wars in the east. These things are prevalent in the east. And repay the things that they have done to them. So they have a recompense that they have to own up to, man. Now, the Lord, he hates Esau. Who's Esau? Israel, the state of Israel. Those demons in it is Esau. When you go to the book, let me get this quick precept. When you go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, and I'm going to show something real fast. I may want to pull it in another translation also. Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate. Now, Mount Seir is not talking about physical Mount Seir. Physical Mount Seir has nothing to do with prophecy. It's the mountains. There's no military base set up there. There's no men set up there. The Mount Seir represents the nation of Esau, most desolate. Where is the most prominent men of Edom residing? In Israel, man. The fake Jews. It says, and cut off from him that passeth out and him that returneth. So those men are going to get bombed, destroyed, America, along with Israel, their allies and all of their things from all of these neighboring countries. Russia, China, Iran, right? India. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. Again, that's not talking about the physical mountains, right, of Mount Seir. Let me get this real fast. Ain't nothing going on here. It's desolate. It's not talking about this. Right? Let me go back to it. It says, and thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers. Shall they fall, Slakia, shall they fall that are slain with the sword? I will make thee a perpetual desolation. Thy city shall not return. Ye shall know that I am the Lord. And the Lord said, look, and thy cities shall not return. Meaning all the places in the chief parts of Esau, right? He's going to destroy, and those men aren't going to return back to their first estate. Because thou hast said, these two nations, these two countries, right? Meaning Judah and Israel shall be mine. That's their thought, that I'm going to evade Israel, kill all of the Israelites, and dwell in their land. It says, because thou hast said, this is what Mount Seir says in their heart. These two nations, Judah, right, and Israel, these two countries shall be mine. What does it mean they shall be mine? They covet lands. They possess it by violence. And we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. So they saying we don't give a damn if the Lord is there. His throne is there. His people are there. We're going to rape, murder, steal, and invade their land. And we don't care that the Lord was there, man. Meaning the spirit of the throne of the Most High. Well, let me get this quick precept in the NLV. All right. Let's read it in the NLV. All right. Let's read. I'm going to start at verse number 9. It says, I will make you desolate forever. Your cities will never be rebuilt. Then you will know that I am the Lord. Right? Check this out. For you said the lands of Israel and Judah will be ours. Who says that? How is this not talking about Esau? Who's dwelling in Israel right now? Who's catching hell by all these nations right now? Who's feeling the hand of the Lord right now, resting upon them? We will take possessions of them. What do we care that the Lord was there? That's their mind. We don't care that the Most High was there. We don't care that the Ark of the Covenant was there. His spirit was there. The angels and the ladder. You understand? Jacob's ladder and these things were prevalent around this region. We don't care how deep the spirit is, right? We don't care that the Lord was there. That's the spirit of them, huh? Right? So that's why they're getting judged at that high level, and there's no peace like they say in the Middle East. Let me get this quick precept. All right? Let's go to the mighty book of Joel. It's the book of Joel, right? Chapter 3 and verse number 9. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So it's being proclaimed. Everybody in the world is knowing, and it's trending, World War III. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Let the weak nation say, I am strong. Because Israel is really a weak nation, man. Right? It says, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be weakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the Most High is getting all of these nations involved, drawn to the east, right? That the day of vengeance in World War III, right, to the height and the peak of it in Armageddon, will kick off, and the Lord will sit. That's not physical. When the Lord sits, the Lord is on his throne right now. The Lord is sitting right now, right? When it says he sit to judge the heathen round about, meaning he's going to judge them with what? Destruction, vengeance, all the things that he have said before. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get ye down, for the press is full. You know, all the wickedness and the evil has reached its peak and been fulfilled. The fat overfloweth, for the wicked is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, right? Yahweh Shaphat. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Right, let me go back. Let me see if it was a little bit more on this.
Fight until the battle is won, for our sake and for the sake of the peace and security of the entire world.
Right, for the peace of sake of the entire world. The Lord is not looking for peace for the entire world, man.
A failure to fully divert the course to the new target would result in a failure to intercept. Now let's take a look how the Israeli defense system works. The Israeli defense system consists of 3 tiers. First up is the long-range Arrow missile defense system, which was designed specifically with Iranian missiles in mind. Each of these system rockets costs a few $1,000,000, and they can intercept missiles outside the Earth's atmosphere, resulting in enhanced protection.
That's crazy. That's why the Lord said it was war in heaven in the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter. Let me get this quick precept. I'm thinking of precepts as I'm listening to this, and it is going to be war in heaven, man. Not physically with Michael, right? And the archangels and the Lord. Right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse number 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Well, so that heaven is talking about the firmament, right? And it is going to be war. Because Esau, his angels are his military. They're the ones that fly in the air. They're the ones that shoot in the air. They're the ones that inhabit the high places of the earth, right? And the Most High and his angels, physical angels and his chariots are going to fight. And prevail not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And that's twofold, in a higher state, and no longer are they going to be able to corrupt the world, right? With all type of chemtrails, we're flying around, going to different parts of the earth, coveting lands, mapping and spying out places, right? Let me go back to it. I want to finish this video.
The second layer of defense is the so-called David Sling system, designed for taking out missiles and drones. Finally, the Iron Dome stops most short-range rocket attacks in Israel. Let's take a look at why the Iron Dome failed to intercept the Iranian ballistic missiles. Apart from discussing the multi-layered missile defense system, the Iron Dome itself has a range of around 40 miles, while the David Sling can intercept ballistic missiles up to a range of 180 miles. The top-tier Arrow anti-ballistic missile systems can target threats up to 1,500 miles away. According to reports, 180 ballistic missiles, which are possibly hypersonic as claimed by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, were launched. Although the Arrow missile defense system successfully intercepted many missiles before they reached Israel, many still got through. The main problem behind the failure to intercept was after the detachment of the glide vehicle from the launcher. The glide vehicle can change its trajectory multiple times, which confused the Arrow missiles. This maneuver also bypassed the David Sling and finally the Iron Dome system.
See, this make me think about the arrows that are being shot by the angels, because the angels don't miss. You know, when you go to war with a physical man and a physical army, you know, they miss. But the Most High's missiles, lightning bolts, should I say, they don't miss. So when all hell starts to break loose, and I believe I labeled this what's going to happen when you push the button. And the button's been pushed. Things are happening. All hell is breaking loose. But there are different levels of war, different levels of what they're trying to hit, different levels of ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, right? Missiles with different ranges, like I said, from the Mark 1 all the way to 10, right? Just diving into a little bit of how their war is playing out, right, on a physical level. You have to understand how this thing is going to play out. And when it gets to the point where the intercontinental ballistic missiles are being pressed, and they're now targeting whole maps and whole regions, you know, that's when you're issuing more down the line of the trumpets being blown. And World War III, you know, to the point where it's a world war. And they're all being shot, not just to destroy, you know, cities, you know, but whole regions, you know, whole pits. Like, let me get this quick precept. I know I was about to get this one, but just in Revelation chapter 9. You know, the Lord said, get this quick precept. It says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven, right? A bomb, a missile unto earth, right? From the highest state in the firmament all the way down to earth's. And to him was given the key, right? Of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit. So he opened the bottomless pit, right? A pit is a landmass, and a smoke descended out of the pit. Meaning the whole pit, a whole land was hit as a smoke of a great furnace. So not only did it just bomb, see, a lot of places are just hitting hospitals or just, you know, small levels. In the times of the angel sounding, there are going to be whole pits that are hit. Smoke and fire is going to be raining out of these pits. These are different levels of war and missiles. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Now that's physical and spiritual, because when smoke arises, even with like a building being destroyed, all the smoke kind of comes and you can't really see nothing in the air. It's all dark, filled with smoke, but it's parabolic. Meaning all of the wisdom, the knowledge, the might, the strength, and all of the nobles and men aren't going to know what to do. Everybody's going to become like women. They're going to be frantic. They're going to be scared. They're going to be running. They're going to be screaming. They're going to be wailing. And they're going to try to find out what the hell is next. See, all government takes orders. So when you're trying to hit your little radar and he's flying in the air and his fighter jet and his commander isn't damn responding because he got shot in the damn head and he's trying to figure out what the hell to do and he's flying, he don't got no orders. He's going to take matters in his own hands. The same way with man. He's going to be running in the streets. No sense of direction. You run, you're a pilgrim. You're going to get to the point where you don't even know where the hell you are anymore. Am I still in Maryland? Am I still in D.C.? Am I still in Florida? Am I still in different parts of California? Right, so that franticness in the spirit is going to increase. And the sun and the air were darkened, right, by reason of the smoke of the pit. Meaning things are going to get dark. And there came out of the smoke of the pit, right, it's like a smoke locust upon the earth, right, armies in the air. And unto them was given power as scorpions of the earth to have power. Right, let me get back to this real fast and finish this.
Which is not designed to counter hypersonic missiles like the Fatah II model. As a result, the interceptor missed for targets and the glide vehicle landed on military bases where the $100 million F-35 jets were stationed. Let's examine the cost implications of a single day of missile attacks. Iran expended over $200 million by launching ballistic missiles along with drones, whereas the IDF spent $1 billion to defend itself. This includes the Aram missile, which costs around $2.5 million.
Money, money, money. Like I was going into earlier and going into Maccabees, First Maccabees, the 3rd chapter.
The David Sling costs around $1 million to produce, while the Iron Dome costs around $20,000 to $100,000 for a single missile, depending on inflation.
$100,000 a missile.
By contrast, Iranian ballistic missiles cost around $200,000 each, and its drones only $20,000 to $50,000 each.
Check that out. So, like, when you're going into this thing, this thing is very, very, very strategic. Let me get this quick precept in Luke, right? Let me get this quick precept in Luke. This is the mighty book of Luke, right? Chapter 21. And I'm going to start at verse 30. I'm going to start at 29. And he spake unto them in a parable. Behold, the fig trees and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that the summer is nigh at hand. Meaning on a physical level, anybody could perceive by looking at nature, the elements, the trees, how things are coming to pass. You could see the different seasons. You know when fall is coming in. You know when the harvest is coming in. It says, so likewise, ye, when ye see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. And these are the days we're living in where faith is increased. Well, we're the children of Abraham. We're the seed of Abraham. And not only do we take on the seed of Abraham, but we have to take on the spirit of Abraham. He's the father of faith. We have to have faith entering into these days, understanding how impossible it is to survive unless you're under the pavilion, the protection, and the refuge of the Most High. It's impossible. We're the only nation on the face of this earth without any military. We have no hope. Our hope, seemingly on the left-hand side, would be Esau being in his nation, joining his army under his protection, under his rocks. That would be off. We have no type of help other than the Heavenly Father. If you're not in the spirit of trying to get your spirit together, perceiving the times we living in, it's high time to really think about whether you're in his truth or not, whether you're in his faith or not. It says, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, right? Meaning the firmament, right? The heaven is going to be in war, but really the kingdoms and the earth, right? Being all the inhabitants cleared out with destruction shall pass away, right? Being nuclear warfare, but my word shall not pass away. And take heed to yourselves. So in the midst of the Lord telling you about troublous times, he's also telling you to take heed to yourself. And we all need to check ourselves, right? Our lives, what we got going on, the spirit we in. He said, take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with Sephet. Right? I want to get this in the Greek. All right? Real fast. I'm going to get this in the Greek. I want to look up overcharged. Weighed down. To weigh down. You got to look and see if you weighed down right now. You weighed down with bills, problems, my marriage, my this, my that. The more you get weighed down or overcharged, you got to really start examining yourself. The less on fire you tend to be, the more weighed down you are. Because that means you're going to give your mind more to earthly things instead of spiritual things. Like the Lord said in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17, all the way down, if we look not at things which are seen, but things that are not seen. So we're not really focusing on too much, to a certain extent, the things that are on the earth. You're going to catch hell. You're going to be afflicted. You're going to be plagued. This is the condition of the battle. So you got to take heed to yourself, lest your heart be overcharged, meaning weighed down, right? With surfetting. I want to look up that word, surfetting. Right? With giddiness and headache caused by drinking wine to excess. Everybody know that's a spiritual hangover. You're sitting up there in the morning trying to figure out, where am I? Right? Is it Sunday or Monday? Right? Where's water? Right? Trying to figure out what the hell is going on. You stumble to the bathroom. People throw up. People roll out of bed, hit their head, go into a concussion. People are dizzy. When your heart gets weighed down and your mind gets weighed down, right, with all of these things and these troubles of this world by surfetting, right? I mean, you tend to lose direction and clarity. That's why it's important to be sober. But look, as a seizure of pain, a headache. Now, anybody that had a severe headache, your headache may be so severe that your mind start pulsing, right? You have a migraine. You slip into depression. You slip into anxiety. When is this going to leave? You can't really think straight. So before that even happens, right, the Lord said, take heed to yourself. Because once you have a headache and you're weighed down in pain and you're drunk, and you can't sober up from that, man. It takes time. If you're even given an opportunity to see clear again. So what the Lord said, overcharged with surfetting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that that day come upon you unawares. You don't want to let this thing come upon you when you least expect it, right? It says, for as a snare shall it come upon all them that dwell on the face of this earth, right? Face of the whole earth. A snare is a trap, like what they were set for again and or a bird. It says, watch ye therefore and pray always. So we're in the days of watching and prayer, that ye may be counted worthy to escape all these things which shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man, right? So you most definitely want to check yourself, be in the spirit, do as much as you can to be on fire, continue to keep watch. Right, let me bring out this closing precept. It's the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse number 2. It says, be watchful, and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. That's examination. Examination is key, man. That's how you're being able to identify the things you need to repent from. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come at thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right? So continue to keep watch. Most High willingness was edifying through the Spirit. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Shalom.